Welcome to All Things Soggy Buns. We're going deep on coleslaw today.
Ooh, fun. I love coleslaw.
Me too, especially when it's done right.
Right.
Yeah, and we found this recipe online that claims to be the best coleslaw recipe ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from this blog, Spend with Pennies. So we thought it'd be fun to break it down
Yeah.
and see what their secrets are.
I'm in. I'm ready to dive in.
Okay, cool. So Soggy Buns, the Maryland-based
Yeah.
food truck and catering,
Mm-hmm.
they actually have coleslaw on the menu.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's a classic.
Yeah, it goes great with their BBQ chicken, pulled pork sandwiches.
Yeah. I mean, what doesn't it go with?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So let's see what this recipe is all about.
Okay.
Well, so first of all, they really emphasize keeping it simple and fresh.
That's always a good place to start, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the base is pretty standard, green cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
They add a little bit of red carriage just for a pop of color.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and then some shredded carrots.
Okay, so far so good.
But here's where it gets interesting.
Oh.
They say you can totally experiment with other kinds of slaws,
Okay.
like broccoli slaw.
Interesting. I've never thought to use broccoli slaw in a traditional
I know, right?
coleslaw. Yeah.
It's kind of like a twist.
I like it.
Yeah, so we'll have to try that sometime.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's move on to the dressing because that's where the magic really happens.
Okay, the dressing, yes, very important.
Yeah, and this was homemade, which I always appreciate.
Me too. It makes a big difference.
Huge difference. Okay, so they use mayonnaise as the base,
Classic.
of course.
Yeah.
White vinegar, apple cider vinegar for that tang.
Oh, yeah. Gotta have that
A
tang.
little bit of sugar to kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
And are you ready for the secret ingredient?
Hit me.
Celery seed.
Celery seed. Really?
Yeah.
That's not something I would normally put in coleslaw.
I know, right? Like when I first saw it, I was like, celery seed.
Yeah.
But they swear by it. They're like, don't skip the celery seed.
Okay, so what does it do?
So they say it adds this depth and this complexity to the flavor. It's got an earthy, almost peppery kind of note to it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And it cuts through the richness of the mayo and balances the sweetness,
Wow. Okay, so it's kind of like a background player, but it's really important.
Exactly.
Yo.
You
Yeah.
don't necessarily notice it right away, but it's there doing its thing.
Adding that little something.
Yeah.
Like it.
So, for those of us who are busy,
Oh, always. I have a tip. Oh, good.
you can use pre-shredded coleslaw mix
Okay, that makes sense.
just to save time.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't have the time to shred all that cabbage.
Exactly. Exactly. And they say, coleslaw is best when it's made ahead of time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you can make it a day or two in advance.
Oh, nice.
Let those flavors really meld.
Oh, that sounds good.
All those ingredients, hanging out in the fridge together, getting to know each other.
Marinating almost, you know.
Exactly. Marinating.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm already starting to crave some Soggy Buns coleslaw.
Oh, yeah, their coleslaw is so good.
So good. And it's always so fresh.
Yeah.
Because they make it every day from scratch.
Nice. So if you're listening and your mouth is watering right now,
Yeah.
head on over to soggybuns.com. That's SOGGYBUNZ.com.
Yes.
Check out their menu, their locations.
They're all over Maryland.
Yes, they are. But let's get back to this recipe.
Okay, back to the recipe.
What else is going on?
So, for serving suggestions, they have all the classics,
Like what?
like fried chicken, BBQ chicken,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
pulled pork sandwiches.
Mhm.
But what stood out to me
Yeah.
was they suggest putting coleslaw on burgers.
Oh, wow. I've never thought of that.
Right.
But that sounds really good.
I know, right? That creamy, crunchy coleslaw
Yeah.
with a juicy burger. I think it would be the perfect combination.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to try that.
Me too. Next time I make burgers.
Yes. And then, if you want to make it a little bit healthier,
Okay.
they suggest swapping out some or all of the mayo with yogurt.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
All right.
Yeah, because mayo can be a little heavy sometimes.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah.
And they say you can use Greek yogurt, so it's still nice and thick and creamy.
Okay, good tip.
Yeah. And they also have a whole separate recipe for a vinaigrette-based dressing
Oh,
if
interesting.
you don't want the creamy mayo.
So like a lighter option.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, tell me more about that.
It's super simple. It's just apple cider vinegar, canola oil, a little sugar, Dijon mustard for that zesty kick.
Yeah, I love Dijon.
Me too. And guess what? More celery seed.
Wow, they're committed to that celery seed.
I know. It's their signature ingredient,
Yeah.
which is really cool, I think.
Yeah, it's it's like their little twist,
Exactly.
It's like their stamp on the recipe.
Yes. And they say, chill the coleslaw for at least an hour preferably longer.
Oh, good tip.
Yeah, and it's not just about keeping it cold.
Right.
It's about letting those flavors meld and the cabbage softens a little bit.
Makes sense.
It just makes it a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I think people forget about that part sometimes. They just want to eat it right away.
I know, right?
But patience is key.
Patience is key, and it makes a difference.
It really does, yeah.
So we're going to take a quick pause here, and we'll be right back with more coleslaw insights.
All right, I can't wait. Okay, so we're back, and we were talking about letting that coleslaw chill.
Yeah, like giving it time to really come together.
Exactly. And, I think it really makes a difference in the texture, too.
Totally. It's like the cabbage gets a little bit softer.
Yeah, and it just eats better,
It does. And they have this tip in the blog about using a big bowl when you're mixing everything together.
Oh, yeah, good tip.
I'm always like trying to find enough bowls.
Me too.
But they say if you just whisk the dressing in a really big bowl,
Yeah.
then you can just add the cabbage and carrots right into it.
Oh, that's smart.
Less dishes.
I like it.
Yeah, so it's like little things like that that can just make your life easier in the kitchen.
Totally, totally. Any tips to save time and energy, I'm all about it.
Me too. Oh, and they have this other tip for if you're bringing coleslaw to a potluck or a picnic.
Okay, yeah, because you don't want it getting all warm and wilted.
Exactly. So they say to put the bowl of coleslaw inside a bigger bowl filled with ice.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I know, right? Like so simple, but so smart.
Yeah, keeps it cold, but it doesn't get watered down.
Exactly.
We've been talking a lot about the how-tos and stuff.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back to the flavor for a second.
Yes. Flavor is key.
What about that broccoli slaw?
Oh, yeah. So I haven't actually tried it in this specific recipe.
Yeah.
But I've used broccoli slaw in other things, and I think it would be really good.
Yeah.
It's got like a little bit more of an earthy flavor than regular cabbage.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a little bit crunchier, too.
Plus you get more veggies in there.
Exactly.
Which is never a bad thing.
And, it kind of goes with their whole fresh ingredient philosophy.
It does. It's like they're encouraging you to try new things and be creative.
Exactly.
Speaking of fresh ingredients, though, soggy buns.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
Their coleslaw is so good.
So good.
And you can tell they use really high quality ingredients.
Yeah. It's not like that, pre-made stuff you get at the store.
No, it's the real deal.
It's the real deal. So if you guys are in Maryland,
or even if you're not, make a trip.
yeah, make a trip. You can find them at soggybuns.com.
That's B-U-N-Z.
B-U-N-Z.
Not buns, buns.
Buns.
All right, so back to this recipe. Anything else jump out at you?
Well, I really liked how they emphasized balancing flavors.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Like the mayo's, the creamy base, the vinegar adds the tang, sugar kind of rounds it all out.
Yeah, and the celery seed brings that, what did they call it?
Earthy
peppery
depth.
Yeah.
It's like they've thought of everything.
Yeah. And they also mentioned whisking the dressing really well
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
before you add the cabbage and carrots.
I admit I don't always do that.
Me neither, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
You want everything to be nice and emulsified.
Yeah, so you get that creamy, consistent dressing.
Exactly.
It's those little details that you don't always think about,
Yeah.
but they can really make a difference.
Absolutely. It's like the difference between a good coleslaw and a great coleslaw.
Exactly. This blog has honestly been so helpful.
I know. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. I feel like I could teach a coleslaw masterclass now.
Totally. Oh, speaking of which, did you see their section on troubleshooting?
Oh, yeah, that was really interesting.
They had some good tips in there.
Yeah, like what to do if your coleslaw is too watery.
Oh, yeah, that's a common problem.
Yeah, it's like the worst, right?
Soggy coleslaw is not good.
No, not good at all.
So what did they say to do?
Salt the cabbage. Yeah, you just sprinkle some salt on it, let it sit for a bit, and it draws out the extra moisture.
Oh, that's smart.
And you rinse it off and pat it dry.
Okay.
So easy.
Yeah, it's like they've thought of everything.
I know, it's amazing.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
What do you say we take another quick break?
Sounds good to me.
And then we'll come back and wrap things up.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're back, and we've learned so much about coleslaw.
I know, right? I never thought I could talk about coleslaw for this long.
Me either, but it's been fascinating.
It has. I'm looking at coleslaw in a whole new light.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things I'm taking away from this
Yeah?
is that it's all about, building those layers of flavor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like this recipe we've been talking about, they do such a good job of balancing, the creaminess from the mayo
Yeah.
with the vinegar,
Yeah.
that tang, the sugar, the celery seed.
It all comes together so well.
It does. It's like they've created this. Like,
Masterpiece.
yeah, a masterpiece. And, it just shows that even simple dishes
Yeah,
can be really special
absolutely.
when you put that little bit of extra thought and care into it.
I'm kind of bummed that we didn't actually make any coleslaw
I know.
while we were recording this.
Like, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Me too.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that's something we can do for a future episode.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, like a live coleslaw taste test.
Yes.
I'm in.
We'll have to put that on the schedule.
All right, deal.
But yeah, we've talked about a lot of ways to, like, customize this recipe.
We have the broccoli slaw, the yogurt,
Oh, yeah, the yogurt.
swapping that out for the mayo.
Yeah, and all those different serving suggestions.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Putting it on burgers.
That was my favorite.
Mine too.
It's like, why haven't we been doing that all along?
I know, like, it's so obvious.
Right.
Genius.
Genius.
But I think this coleslaw would also be really good with, like, grilled fish.
Oh, yeah.
Or tacos, even.
Yeah. Or like, on top of a salad.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like a little bit of crunch.
Got a crunchy topping.
Okay. I officially need coleslaw now.
Me too. But you know what? I have a confession to make.
Oh.
I used to be such a coleslaw snob.
Really?
Like, I thought if it wasn't homemade,
Yeah.
it wasn't worth eating.
Oh, I see.
But, this recipe has kind of changed my mind.
How so?
Like, they suggest using pre-shredded coleslaw mix.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just need a shortcut,
Yeah.
especially when you're busy.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could still be delicious.
And you can still, like, doctor it up with your own dressings and toppings.
Right. Like, make it your own.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners.
Don't be afraid to take shortcuts.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to experiment in the kitchen.
Try new things.
Maybe you'll come up with, like, the next best coleslaw recipe.
Right. You never know.
And if you need some inspiration, Soggy Buns.
Yes!
They are the coleslaw masters.
They are. They really are.
So check out their menu, their locations, soggybuns.com.
B-U-N-Z.
B-U-N-Z.
Gotta get that right.
Gotta get it right.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for our coleslaw deep dive.
Yeah, I think so too.
What a journey.
It has been.
So much coleslaw knowledge.
Coleslaw experts now.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to the All Things Soggy Buns podcast. We'll see you next time.